Welcome to Lansing Online News Radio. This is Bonnie Buckaroo, WLNZ LCC Radio at 89.7 here in Lansing, Michigan. And we are back on the air after a week off. I am joined by my co-host, Bill Castanier. We took a week off last Monday night for faithful listeners. Three of you that are out there. Because
the calls were amazing.
Yeah,
non-stop.
People clamoring at the doors, wondering where we were. But I went to the Lansing Surgical Center on a Monday morning after Thanksgiving, after 2 days of prep for my colonoscopy. And as anybody who's been through that test knows, you don't really enjoy the 2 days of prep prior to a colonoscopy.
That's the bad part. The rest is easy.
Oh yeah, the rest is easy. You're knocked out for
cancer,
the rest of it.
But,
yeah. So I get there at 6:45 in the morning in order to do all my paperwork, and they say, "Oh, gee, we don't have you scheduled." And I'm thinking, "Oh no, please."
You can't send me home.
No, I will beg on bended knee. Fortunately for me, the doctor had me scheduled, and Dr. McKenna is a good guy, and everything worked out once he got there. But it was touch and go for about half an hour while I was on tenterhooks, hoping that we were going to go through.
Is that part of the Obamacare system that we're working with? Because I'm sure somebody will blame it on it. No.
It's unsocial medicine.
Yeah, it's unsocial medicine.
Yeah, so it was an exciting, after Thanksgiving little trip down there, and I thought, I don't want to come back and do this again. So the good news is I don't have to do it for 5 years, and that's just about the right timing as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, more than right timing.
Yes.
It's nothing that's pleasurable.
Yeah.
Especially since they knock you out now, you can't watch the little tube go through.
Although, there's a big debate about that, and they're talking about reversing that directive because it is, people do have complications from the anesthetic.
Oh yeah, well, I think that I didn't like it.
It's more dangerous than doing it without anesthetic. And
that was for the convenience of the doctor.
Exactly. Now the other big issue is they have now a little capsule that you can swallow.
Right. Then they can watch it.
The only challenge with that is that if they do find something, then you have to come back for the biopsy.
And I haven't heard what the statistics are, how many people they find with minor polyps that would have to come back. That would be most people's luck, probably.
Exactly. I think there's a fairly high rate of that. So that would be unfortunate because then you'd have to go through that all over again. I actually think the prep's probably fairly hard on you too.
Oh, it's got to be, because then you're purging your system totally. So. Not a thrill, man. It's
well, on a lighter note and a more cheerful
I'd rather have Thanksgiving
note,
dinner personally.
The opening of the Historical Society event occurred, so we were talking about that on our last show.
We had a great opening, and a lot of it was due, frankly, to the publicity we got. I have to admit, people do read the newspaper still and watch TV. Good. Especially older people who mostly come to Historical Society events.
Like me, yes.
Yeah, but they were a very energetic group of people that came through and had lots of great stories and saw things that they didn't know were going to be there. There's a prom dress there that was made by a woman in 1954. She came and her husband, who was in a prom picture together.
Oh,
so
really?
we took a sort of a re-up for him. Took
that's
another
cool.
picture with the dress. People's high school days are incredibly important to them.
Yeah.
More than I knew. I mean, much more than I knew. People wanted to talk nonstop about high school.
Really? I don't care.
I care a little, but I didn't care that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I was amazed. It's just an incredible personal time in people's lives.
Well, I went to 3 different high schools. So
yeah, she did that. This group probably was one high school the entire time.
And they may have gone all the way since kindergarten.
Yep. So. And they lived in Lansing their entire lives. So to them, that was really an important thing.
But you said you're already revving up for your next exam.
Right, we are. Because we've got 3 months to do it, so we've got to. We're going to do Lansing Eats.
And that's a great idea. So you're going to find out.
Well, we've talked about Lansing Eats or Michigan Eats for a long time, and it's basically replicating it on a small level. Restaurants, bars, brewery.
Yeah.
The agriculture industry that provided food back then, the flour, the sugar, whatever. Sugar was made here.
Sure, inviting listeners to get in touch and let you know if they have any.
Artifacts and stories, and I think it's going to be interesting. There was a tremendous, right after the turn of the century, 1900, there was a tremendous number of people who immigrated to this country that came here, and the first thing they did was start restaurants.
Oh yeah, I bet.
The ethnic restaurants were just dramatic.
You're going to serve Delaware punch and New Era potato chips as appetizing?
Yeah.
Some indigenous products that have since disappeared, maybe?
Yeah, I think, we are going to try to do what we can to not only get those kinds of food, but we're going to have something on site. We'll have to have food. You can't do an exhibit with food. on food without
Oh,
having
you'd
food.
drive people crazy.
Yeah, so we're going to have to do something with food that's simple.
Yeah.
And we're going to be looking for ethnic recipes that might have been in a family back a century.
Well, I keep hoping that as you build your sort of virtual space, you can start doing some things with that.
Yes, in fact, that's one of the things we talked about today was somebody had mentioned several people that came and they were sorry they missed the first exhibit on shopping, and we said we're going to put it online.
Yeah.
All the artifacts, photos of them will go online with a description of what they are and how they fit in.
I'm going to be spending, I hope, the next year with an honors class doing a Michigan Eats project that's similar, looking at developing this as an online archive and then using it in preparation to go for NEH grants.
I think it's a good idea. It's like high school.
It is.
People love talking about food and eating food, especially the family recipes.
Well, what we learn is that even if you want to change to a new diet, because maybe you have some medical restriction or something, it takes about 2 years to change your palate. And most people won't invest 2 years of eating food they don't like in order to do that.
Well, that's why people who shouldn't eat salt can't do it.
Right. Right, you do.
Yeah, I do.
And I don't eat gluten, and I do.
Yeah, you can do it, but there's not many people that go through with that.
Right. It's very hard to get people to change their eating habits. The things we grew up with as kids, that's why on the first sign of stress we go right back there.
I don't know.
Fried bologna? Was that your?
Oh, I don't like fried bologna that much, but we did have it. That's big in my spouse's family.
No, it was a delicacy at our house.
It's like a delicacy for them.
Yes.
I mean,
but you had to have just the right onions, fried onions.
They would rather, now, I take that back. You know, it kind of was a raw, it wasn't cheese sandwich that was cooked. It was just white bread, cheese sandwich, onion and mustard.
Wow.
That's what I love that stuff.
Haute cuisine.
Oh, that's high end. Yeah. But I bet everybody, those are the kind of stories I hope we get. Jim.
Exactly.
Because there are going to be some strange ones.
Yeah.
There will definitely be some strange ones, especially when you get into ethnic cooking. There'll be things that you can't imagine what people are cooking.
Tripe soup, duck blood soup, all those wonderful delicacies. Ew. Well, you could make very small pots of things because you would never make a taster.
I remember duck blood soup from friends and family, and I never caught on. And I'm not a screaming shooter, but I never caught on. There's something about that just I don't like the taste of it.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think it is, or I don't want a soup that clots. Yeah, I'd rather have one that was cooked.
Soup that clots.
Yeah, God.
Ugh.
Now you have another announcement, Ken Roethlisberger?
Oh, no, Ken Wachsberger.
Wachsberger.
Yeah, Ken Wachsberger is an MSU graduate. He went through the 60s as part of the underground newspaper movement. And he was like Mr. Everyman. He was all around the country working for underground newspapers. And he's written 4 volumes based on underground newspapers in this country. And his 4th one is coming out this week, and it's called Stop the Presses, I Want to Get Off. It is a history of the prisoners' underground newspapers and the prisoners' newspaper movement. And Ken is going to be at Everybody Reads, Thursday, December 6th at 6:30 p.m. He's very interesting. He had an incredible life, and it was almost serendipitous, he said, running into people that worked in the underground newspaper. He'd get picked up in the middle of Iowa by a car when he was hitchhiking, and it was 2 guys that worked for the prison newspapers.
Oh.
And things like that did happen to him a lot. He didn't seek them out, he just ran into them. So he's got 4 volumes. This is a lifetime project.
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine. It's over 600 pages.
I belong to a listserv that has somebody from Prison Planet on it. And it's kind of a sad note. The listserv was started by a man named Joel Siegel, who used to do a lot of interviews for Playboy. He kind of retired down to Mexico. And he just died shortly before Thanksgiving, so we're all concerned about what will happen to the listserv because one of the members is Paul Krasner of The Realist.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the people that would be part of this audience that you're talking about, that underground press audience.
Absolutely. And it had a rich history. A lot of people who went on to work for Rolling Stone and had other legitimate jobs started in underground newspapers. It's a great tale, and like I say, it's 4 volumes. I think his next step is to get it as an e-book, more affordable.
Yeah, more accessible.
Yep, absolutely.
Searchable, too.
Yes.
Makes a big difference. Because half the time when I go to books nowadays, I notice the index is a few pages off.
Oh, yeah. You know why, too, because of editing.
Exactly. Yeah, and it changes the pagination.
Oh, terribly. That's why a lot of the advanced reading copies of books I mean, all of them.
They've gotten
Not-
the zeros.
They do not come out with, index pages.
Yep. Now, there's another event, Authors on the Avenue.
Authors on the Avenue is at the same place. It's Sunday, December, yeah, we are in December. What is hard to say? December 9th.
When it's 60 degrees, it doesn't seem like
No,
it.
and it's at Everybody Reads, and then held jointly with the Avenue Restaurant Bar next door.
Former Gone Wired.
Former Gone Wired. It's still hard to get. It's hard to say that.
I know.
The Avenue.
Yeah.
And they serve craft beer and things like
Yeah.
that now, and have food. So the Avenue, sort of Authors on the Avenue event, is anybody that's written books been invited to show up.
Oh, really?
We'll see what happens.
Hmm.
I'm not sure yet, but I know there's like 30 people say they're coming already.
All authors?
No, I don't think
Oh.
so. If they are, I didn't recognize them.
Ah, okay. So we don't know yet who the roster might be?
Nope.
What will the activities be? Will they be doing readings or?
It's wide open.
Wide
It's
open.
not organized.
Could be open mic, could be
It could be
anything.
open mic. I think if people want to get up, and I know they'll be selling books. That was one thing they said, but people may just get up and do a short reading.
Well, one of the nice things that would happen is if we had some musicians. I know the Avenue has been hosting some new musicians, and that's my segue into our guest here, Rob Kleider. Rob
Hello.
Kleider, I think you were circling the building earlier looking for it.
I had to park and hold, yeah.
It's not a bad hike down here from Holt.
Well, I could have walked from home and I would have been here faster.
We're going to get you up close to the mic because we're also
Oh.
webcasting.
Okay.
Those of you who are listening to us on the radio, if you also go to LansingOnlineNews.com, you can check out our webcast. We have a Ustream webcast at the same time. So you can see that Rob has brought his guitar with him because now you have, when is your launch? Are you,
My launch is December 13th,
okay?
which I make to be next Thursday.
And that will be at,
Moriarty's Pub.
do we know, is Mort's still
Homemade.
owned, is Mort's under new ownership, do we know? There's
We-
rumors
we-
floating that Mort's has been
We
sold.
do not, Morse has not been sold.
Ah,
Morse may be sold in the future.
I see. So anybody who's eager to own Mort's should be contacting
I
them.
believe there are buyers in the process.
Uh-huh.
Nothing, it may be a while.
Well, let's hope
I
they
probably
don't.
shouldn't say anything more because I'm not even supposed to know that.
Well, you're a better reporter than I am because I haven't been able to dig it out. And let's hope nothing changes hands before your
I
launch
play there at
party.
least once a week, so who knows.
You
What's
can
going
just
on?
pick it up by listening, yeah.
Many people know you from your former life with The Lash and other aggregations around town. You want to give us your sort of musical history?
My sort of musical history?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been playing since I was like 19 and now I'm really old. So I've been in a lot of different bands, but for the last 15 years I've been in the Lash. And it's not my former musical life, it's still my musical life.
Uh-huh.
Just a part of it. But yeah, I have another new band called The Hardwires with some friends.
Including
And,
my husband.
It's
Always a good choice.
always.
Yes.
And I've just been playing all kinds of music around here.
Yeah. You're a real fixture in town, and people have been pushing you for a long time to do your album, and you finally got it
Yeah.
together. You did it on Kickstarter. That's
I
how.
did.
Yeah. How was that experience?
It was fun. It was kind of nerve-wracking because you know how Kickstarter works. You can start a project and you need to you set a goal, and if you don't make your goal, you don't get any of the money, and you get like within $40 or $50, and you're starting, a couple minutes left, and you're starting to think,
Uh-oh.
am I going to have to try to pull something here?
And
I
they
did.
tell you that they will cancel you if you
Yeah.
throw the money in the pot.
Yeah. How many friends can I call right now?
But I made it, and I didn't ask for a whole bunch of money.
That's a great way, I think, for musicians to get funded now.
I like it. And since I made all the money, since I financed my album through Kickstarter, I'm going to give all the money I make away at the CD release party
Now you're giving it to a cause.
to the Greater Lansing.
Isn't that great?
That is kind of a neat idea.
Yeah.
So make sure Kickstarter has stories like that on their site too. That's a cool story.
Yeah, so ideally I will sell enough CDs to repay what I made on Kickstarter back out, kind of even karmically.
Now, how did you promote it on Kickstarter? Because it really does rely on.
Mostly through Facebook and then friends, and it was a lot of word of mouth, really.
That's a great system. I think it really is. There's Indie Pop, there's a few others that use that same sort of strategy, but Kickstarter certainly.
A lot of books are financed that way now.
Yeah, we got with a project America Eats actually
Yeah,
that I was
yeah.
working on. Got almost there, but we would have had to have cheated to get there, so we didn't get it.
Yeah.
It's one of
But it
those.
was, it got us enough publicity that we got the money anyway.
That's right. Somebody kicked it in the pot later.
Yeah.
This is LCC Radio, WLNZ 89.7 here in Lansing, Michigan. We're talking with Rob Klyda, and maybe what he'll do is tell us a little bit about the songs on the album, what the inspiration was, what kind of music people would be hearing, and then maybe grace us with a song.
What kind of music? Well, there's all kinds of music. One of the reasons it took me so long to do a solo album is that I've written so many songs and I've liked so many different kinds of music and I want to do all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, I'm going to do this kind of album, and I'm like, I want to do this kind of album, and I finally decided I had to do something, and I took. Originally, the project started out as a collection of 100 songs, and I was going to.
An anthology.
Yeah, I was just going to sell it for like $10, and a lot of people said that's a bit much to digest for me.
Even those who like you a lot, that
Yeah.
may be too much.
I said, why don't you pick 10? And so then I picked 30, and I ended up with 17 on the album. So
I
some of them
wondered,
are
I
only-
downloaded my copy, and I thought to myself, I kept downloading and looking and going,
Some of them are only like a minute and a half, some are 2 minutes, some are 6 minutes.
Do you have any little hidden tracks?
Well, the last track on the album in the old days would have been the hidden track.
Yeah.
But since people buy stuff digitally now, or
Yeah, well, how does that work
CDs,
nowadays?
I just put a 10-second delay on it, until it starts. There's 10 seconds when the track starts, so it sounds like the Christmas done. It's kind of my imitation. It's secret hidden track. Yeah, it's about zombies. It's a campy horror movie in 4 minutes. Some electronic music in the background, and a couple of actor friends doing some cheesy horror dialogue.
What did you record? Out of Epiphany?
Yeah, Epiphany Studios out in Dimondale.
Yeah. And how long did it take you?
Oh, I started this the early part of June, and I finished it up the end of October. Finished the recording, and then went on to the mixing. But that was only doing, I think we did the basic rhythm tracks in 2 6-hour sessions, and I would go in like 3 or 4 times a month and do 4 or 5, 6 hours. And I have so many different people on the album. I think there are 19 people on the album, and I couldn't get them all in at once because they're all working musicians. So sometimes I had to come in and I had to get the backing vocalists in before I had the lead parts done. And we had the
Makes
rhythm
harmonizing
parts.
interesting, I would think.
Yeah, it actually it made for some interesting compromises on the songwriting.
You know, it doesn't sound like you did anything small on it.
I didn't. I figured it was my first one, and it was kind of a once-in-a-lifetime band. And I just had a big wish list of people that I thought I'd really love to record with, and I asked them all, and they all said yes. And I was like, uh-oh. And I didn't know quite how to. I actually had a spreadsheet going to try to figure out how to use it.
Now, who are some names of local musicians that are on this that people would recognize?
Well, Rachel Davis,
Oh.
Jen Siggett, Lindsay Liu, and Josh Rilkogo from Lindsay Liu and the Flat Bellies, Drew Howard, Mike Lynch. My rhythm section was Bobby Bryan and John Herman, who I played with in The Lash. And then also on some songs I had Jason Scott, who plays with Rachel Davis and Starlight Six, who used to play in The Lash. And Andy Callis played some accordion.
Oh, great. Wow.
There's much more. Jerry Patterson, former member of The Lash. Bill Bartleson played some guitar. Abby Hoffman did a theatrical reading on the Can't Be a Horror movie.
Abby Hoffman?
No, not Abby Hoffman. Abby Murphy.
I was going to say, Resurrected from the Dead.
Whoa, that
would
would
be
have
a
been
real-
campy.
yeah.
Whoa, he would have made a great zombie.
He would have.
Wouldn't he?
He would have.
Sorry, Abby.
Bless your
Both
soul.
of you.
Both of you. Well, maybe you
And
would.
more, I can't remember.
Maybe you would grace us with a song. Tell us
might.
about it.
Tell us about it. Well, I'm going to do a song I wrote that I have no idea what it's about, really. And so then I don't have to really think about an intro or explanation.
A deep
I
personal
don't-
has deep personal meaning, apparently.
Well, parts of it do. I tend to either write songs that are straight narratives or just songs that are little bits and pieces of stuff that all make complete sense to me, and they sound good together.
Cool.
So that's what this one is, and it's. And now you tell me what it's about when you're done.
What is it called?
It's called The Song's the Same.
All
Actually,
right.
it's called Song's the Same.
Songs.
Laid out in this triangle town, tongue-tied and battered by the circus of sound. Give me a minute and I'll strike up a pose, packed tight into my loose-fitting designer clothes. The DJ rocks his needle drop salvation on a dead-end street. The tattooed girls are squirming to the factory beat. Any other night and they would be safe at home, piercing body parts and deconstructing suicide poems. The song's the same. How hard you listen makes all the difference in the world. I ain't saying anything different from anything you've already heard. 10-gallon heels, 4-inch 10-gallon hat, 4-inch heels and bootcut jeans. Quarterback cowboys coaching line dancing teams. I bet they really do have fences to mend, choking the reins on some old Mercedes Benz. A buckskin ballerina does a perfect honky-tonk plie. She pulls $1 from the fingers of a badly drawn toupee. A deal is signed in sawdust, 2 new lovers retreat down the trailer park boardwalk to Hillbilly Beach. The song's the same. How hard you listen makes all the difference in the world. I ain't saying anything different from anything you've already heard. Just another culture built on urban decay. There's extra college credit if you're homeless for the day. Don't mind the rats, they live here too. They'll bite your feet and steal your food. You shower under broken pipes, I'm sorry, I wish it wasn't true. The junkies on the south side hang out by the trains. The coming and the going only adds to their pain. Years ago they never guessed they'd grow up to be weeks from death. How sad to see the life is measured breath by breath. A dozen Harley scooters congregate outside. A chrome and steel welcome mat to an after-hours dive. The beer is cheap and the whiskey's cold and the whole place smells like leather on the jukebox. David Allan Coe sings Panheads Forever. People in this tavern come in here to unwind after 12 long hours of sweat on the assembly line. They don't dress up like bikers cause it's the latest style. Some people really were born to be wild. The song's the same. How hard you listen makes all the difference in the world. But I ain't saying anything different from anything you've already heard. The song's the same. How hard you listen makes all the difference in the world. But I ain't saying anything different from anything you've already heard. From anything you've already heard. From anything you've already heard.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
See, I love the lyrics. I think that, I don't know, to me, what is that bar that burned out there in Dansville, or was it Weberville?
Goat Head's
The
Tavern
Bloated
or something?
Goat?
The Bloated Goat.
Bloated Goat.
That sounds like all those Harleys parked out in front.
Yeah.
I thought part of it was inspired by a night at the Silver Dollar.
It could have been, or Jimmy
Could have
G's.
been, yeah. That sounds like mid-Michigan to me.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So I noticed that in some of your songwriting lately, I know that I've heard some of the songs the Hardwires have recorded. So, do you write about your daughter now?
Oh yes, I read about her.
Little Veronica?
Some
She's
good
so
and some
cute.
bad.
Yeah.
Does she know you write about
She
her?
was not cute today. She recognizes her name whenever I say it out loud. I played Saturday at the Winter Glow in East Lansing, and it's
Oh, that outdoor thing?
yeah, like a holiday thing, and I had planned out a whole bunch of original stuff and kind of stuff that I might usually do in my solo sets, like really depressing songs. And there's like 6 rows of kids in front of me, so I ended up having to do Jingle Bells and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Run Run Rudolph, and stuff like that.
No suicide note.
But anyway, I did a song that had her name in it, and she could hear me. So yes.
Isn't that great?
I forgot the question. It was so long ago. I can't really answer.
No, but I see her on Facebook all the time. You put up 2 or 3 pictures a week, and it's always
Yeah.
fun to watch as she's growing up. And I've heard her mentioned in some of your songs, and I think it's just
Yeah,
great.
there are a couple that I wrote actually carrying her around, and they were written over the course of the last 2 years. She's going to turn 2 in January.
Wow.
And so I got tired of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on Old MacDonald, so I just started making up things. They slowly developed into songs.
She did a children's album.
I think that's next on my list.
Now that you've done one, do you think that it's just sort of broken the log jam, and now you think about recording, as you?
Yeah, but I'll take a break. It's been pretty intensive on this one.
Tell us about modern recording techniques nowadays. I mean, the field's changed so much. First of all, it's economically doable as long as you've got a Mac and some Pro Tools and some.
Yeah, you can do. And well, if you'd ever been to a modern recording studio, you would never be impressed by anything you ever heard on the radio again, because you can really take any performance and fix it. And we do a little bit of that. I mean, if I do a good take on the vocals and there's a couple of flat notes and I'm not going to redo the whole take, I can tweak those notes.
You can punch them in.
I can punch them in, or you can auto-tune them, or you can pitch correct them. And there are
as Taylor Swift has proven to us all.
Yes. Or the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah. Oh, good.
But yeah, it's a lot faster. You don't have to wait for tapes to rewind. You don't have to pay for a tape.
Yeah.
You don't have to. It's just a lot cheaper. I did the album. I did my complete album for about $1,800 recording, and the last time I used tape for an album, it was like $3,000 or $4,000.
Right. Big difference. And, I mean, you can release them so quickly now. You don't have to worry about, although you're probably getting CDs for sale.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So you're going to self-publish that way.
Yeah.
And it's up on iTunes?
It will be.
Okay.
Yeah, once it's, I have to get the actual physical CD, and then it has to go into, I use CD Baby.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. And they take care of all the digital stuff. They send it to iTunes and Amazon.
God,
All
makes it
kinds of
easy.
places.
Unbelievable.
I know. I mean, when I think before, the music industry, the gatekeepers at all the major labels, they really kept people from hearing a lot of music that deserved to be heard. But now you can go direct, and as long as you can find your own audience, you're all set.
Plus, you had to have everyone in the studio with you.
Yeah.
Way back when.
Yeah. Yeah, I never had a full band in the studio.
Although I like that sometimes when you record in an old house, Drew's been known to be in the bathroom, somebody else is upstairs, so you've got them snaked all over the house, that kind of thing.
Right.
It's a lot of fun, too. Yeah. Would you have a song about me you'd be willing to share with us?
Boy, I don't know all the words to the one that I have. It's the shortest song on the album, and it's the one that has the most words, and I'm still... One of the things
you do have a lot of words. I noticed as I was listening to the lyrics. Wow.
Yeah. One of the things about this album is that the songs got changed so much when I was recording them backward that I have to make sure that I go through and learn them before I do my release show. Because everybody else in the band will learn them that way. And sometimes I just went all Chuck Berry and changed keys right before I was supposed to record. Well, I actually have. Here's the little lullaby that I.
Oh, cool.
The shortest song on the album was called Veronica and the Elephant and the Rhino. It's 1 minute and 32 seconds. It has the most words of all the songs. But this one's called The Big Yawn. This is one I did with Rachel Davis, and she did about 4 tracks of backing vocals, and it's very innocent yet demented, kind of like a outtake from The Wizard of Oz, maybe. She's got the big yawn, but she won't go to sleep. She's got the big yawn, but she won't go to sleep. I tell, she's clicking her hands and she's waving her feet. She's got the big yawn, but she won't go to sleep. She's got the big yawn, but she won't close her eyes. She's got the big yawn, but she won't close her eyes. I tell her when she wakes up there will be a surprise. Thought we could come to a deal, but there's no compromise. She's got the big yawn, but she won't go to sleep. She's got the big yawn, but she won't go to sleep. She's tired and cranky, she's kicking her feet. She's got the big yawn, but she won't go to sleep. She's got the big yawn, but she won't go to bed. She's got the big yawn, but she won't go to bed. She's tired and cranky, her face is all red. She's got the big yawn, but she won't go to bed. And then it goes out with a bunch of Rachel Davis singing some very beautiful harmonies, and Andy Callis playing the Farfisa organ, and Just Star doing some slide guitar, and it fades out like a lullaby.
And then the kids asleep.
If you're lucky.
Until you put her down.
I have acquired a dog that requires me to pet her all night long. I actually think I have my hand trained now to just pet her through the entire night. Because anytime I stop, she wakes me up. So it's one of those, yes.
Needs comfort.
Yes, yes.
What kind of dog?
Oh, well, she is, I think, a Briard Beagle Cross from one of the research dogs at MSU.
Research gone wrong in some
Well, I
ways.
know. I had another one of those dogs, same breed, that this one looks just like it, only shorter legs, so I think we got a little more beagle in this one. As you can tell though, Bill, I was at the dog show all weekend, so I'm up on my breeds. I was bothering everybody on Facebook with the latest collection of 50 photographs of different animals.
Veronica enjoyed those.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she loves dogs and horses.
Oh, God.
So if you want to take pictures of horses,
God,
that's the
well.
neat thing.
Well, one of my first assignments was actually to go out and photograph horses, and that's how I found out I was violently allergic to them.
Good.
Because my eyes swelled shut and all sorts of
Really?
things, so it gets exciting. God, she's a little doll, though. It's fun to watch her.
Up to a point, yes.
Up to a point, yeah.
She kind of grows on you.
That's because she doesn't want to go.
So where are you playing coming up soon?
Well, let's see. Today's Monday. Wednesday, actually, I'm playing there's a benefit at the Avenue. The
Yeah.
Wire, whatever it's
So
called. Yeah, I'm playing there at 6:30 to 7:30 with Andy Callis. And then I
who's
do
the benefit for?
You know? I don't know. It's, I don't know. Andy asked me to play it with him, so I said, sure. It's for a guy, he's doing a 24-hour benefit, and it's, his daughter drowned a couple of years ago. His last name is Croft, and I don't, Steve? No, I mean, I don't know. And he started doing this benefit for her. It's called Saving Christmas, and he's doing it for, I think, an orphanage.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. He has to
Certainly
do a
sounds
benefit.
like
I'm probably going to do it.
Yeah. And do you do a regular open mic now, too?
Yeah, Wednesdays, every Wednesday at Moriarty's Pub, I've been doing an open mic. If you haven't heard of it, and most people I would say haven't, judging from my crowds, come on out. And then next Thursday is my CD release party at Moriarty's Pub.
A week from Thursday.
Yeah,
A
the
week from
13th.
13th.
I have Carmen Paradise and the Marvins are opening up.
Wow.
And about 15 people from my CD will be there. It's going to be just a big mess, so don't come expecting a lot of professionalism. It's just going to be fun, sort of fun.
It's
When
going
does
to be
it-
crowded, too.
When does it
Yeah.
kick off? How early?
Oh, 10 o'clock is kickoff. 10 to 1.
10 to 1.
Or so.
I was going to
See
say,
how-
or so. You're going to have to
Yeah.
squeeze in a lot of people between them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I've got a spreadsheet going. It's going to be
Modern music demands a spreadsheet, right?
Get somebody with a hook, get them
Right.
on and off. Yeah, that kind of thing. That'll be
Actually,
fun.
I was obsessing about how I was going to run sound and play, and Bill Bartleson called me today and was like, if nobody's running sound for this thing, I'd like to do it because I hate having bad sound in place.
Oh, and you
So-
can't do better than Bill. He's great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Cool.
Yes, so
See, it pays to be around town long enough. You
It
have all
does.
these friends.
Yeah.
You can call in all these chits now.
I was pretty amazed that I got so much support on the album.
I'm always delighted by. I think there's a really supportive music community in Lansing. I mean,
Yeah, there is.
compared to other colder big cities and so forth, I think people around here.
Maybe we're a baby Austin.
Well, I'd like to think of that. That would be kind of cool. Although we've lost a few lately. Now, is Rachel Davis still around, or is she down in Nashville?
She's
these
in
days?
Nashville, and she's actually going to be back in town the day after my party, or she would have been able to sing too.
Oh, that would have been wonderful.
Yeah, they're coming back for the holidays the day after.
Her husband's been playing with Jack Black.
White.
Jack White.
Jack White.
Well, Jack Black's the other guy. Yes,
other one.
indeed.
The
Yes.
funny guy.
Yeah.
Well, Jack White's funny sometimes, too.
Oh, he is, yes. Oh, so, anything else we need to know about what's coming up? Where can people get your album
Dead
now?
air. Well, it's not nowhere right now. I have a special download link for Kickstarter patrons, but aside from that, until the actual physical album gets here,
So we all have to wait for a
We
week
have to
from
wait for-
Thursday.
Did you offer a premium?
oh yeah,
What,
lots of them.
what did you? Okay.
Yeah, some of them I wish I hadn't offered. Those would be the handwritten lyrics.
Ooh.
Ooh.
A lot of sets of those to write.
Ow,
And
ouch.
doing a couple of house party. One of the more expensive premiums was a private party, so I'm doing a couple of those.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and
That
one
was a
of
good idea.
Yeah, one of them
Private
turned
party.
out to be a birthday party, which is going to be an open mic party at the Creole Gallery. So that will be like
When I did my Kickstarter, I was promising seed packets that were created with our own, and I had
Yeah.
done the design and all of that kind of thing, and I thought to myself, before I get any printed, I think I'll wait. And we didn't make our amount, so I didn't have to
Yeah.
do any seed packets, and I thought, thank God I didn't invest
It's
all
like
that
that guy
time.
that's got that sugar fly zapper.
Oh.
He promised free shipping anywhere in the world.
Oh, not a good move.
He lost a lot of money
Yeah.
because people were buying. It cost minimum $18 to ship overseas.
Yeah, well, there's another little problem that they have on Kickstarter sometimes. It's that all of a sudden they do get all the money, but they never do supply the stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah, I read about that.
Yeah,
quite a
that can
bit.
be kind of a problem. Yeah. But it's great for musicians and artists and all sorts of creative
A
people.
lot of good tech stuff you can get too.
If it actually gets invented.
Yeah.
We all have our fingers
Right.
crossed. I don't know, I think things like the perpetual motion machine are a bit dicey, but
Yeah.
other than that. Well, thank you. No, a week from Thursday at Moriarty's. Is there one more
Right.
tune you'd like to play us out with?
Sure. How long would you like it to be?
Oh, boy, that's up to
Hour?
you.
A little shorter than that.
WLNZ 89.7 LCC radio here in Lansing, Mich.
I'm gonna do a tune that it was a Lash song. Well, it still is a Lash tune. It's one of our old CDs, and I kind of reclaimed it. I wanted to do it a little differently, and I had a chance to have Lindsay Lou and Jen Siggett do harmonies with me, and so I said I better redo it. And it's called Johnny Come Back. It's a song that has a long story behind it, but I'm in a good mood, so I won't tell you what it is. It's the longest song on the album, too. Sometimes I go walking, sometimes I go wondering how could I waste more time laughing at people, don't worry 'cause time passes by. Have I been a disgrace? Did I make a mistake? Did I let someone down somewhere? Sometimes I go walking just to look through the air. Johnny, come back to America. The family farm is falling down. If only you'd come back around, these fields of green would rise again. Do you think that you could lend a hand? No one but you can work this land. You've always been a stubborn man, but can't you compromise this time? I hear every time that you mention my name, you curse me, you bless me, and then you leave me the blame. And if I were you, I couldn't say I would not do the same. Understanding each other, these things to discover, and you think you know me well, but I never told you everything that I had to tell. Johnny, come back to America. The family farm is falling down. If only you'd come back around, these fields of green would rise again. Do you think that you could lend a hand? No one but you can work this land. You've always been a stubborn man, but can't you compromise this time? I saw in the garden you planted some roses, each one in my memory. The garden you planted is my favorite place to be. When you hear the wind whistle, that's a tune that I've written to let you know I'm still near. I can never return, but for you I will always be here. Johnny, come back to America. The family farm is falling down. If only you'd come back around, these fields of green would rise again. Do you think that you could lend a hand? No one but you can work this land. You've always been a stubborn man. Can't you compromise this time? Can't you compromise this time? Can't you compromise this time? Can't you compromise this
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank you.
much. A week from Thursday at Mort's, and I
A
hope
week from
everybody will
Thursday.
be there, and we'll see you there.
I hope so too.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Rob
you. Thanks for having me
Klyda,
in.
and Hopening.
Opening.
Yes. And now we're joined by Ray Walsh, who's here to talk a little bit about the upcoming festivities in terms of holiday books we ought to be thinking about.
Right.
I hope.
Ho,
People
ho, ho.
should be buying.
Ho,
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 ho, ho. Santa was a bookman.
See? I just got my copy in today of the Nation magazine, and they have a whole bunch of suggestions, but I suspect they're not the same ones as on your list.
Well, tell us one.
Oh, well, I don't know.
So,
I didn't open it up yet.
Ah, that's interesting. Huh.
Huh. What recommendations would
first.
you have for people who want to do books for Christmas?
Well, we sell new books and we also sell used books. So we have a lot of Dickens,
Ah, that'd be perfect.
and we have lots of kids' books.
Ah.
Everything from Nancy Drews and Harvey Boys to Wizard of Oz books. And we've got a lot of cookbooks.
Oh.
So these are used books. And new books, we have 50 Shades of whatever.
Which is still
Well, that's-
selling.
Still selling. We have
There's a
all-
perfect Christmas gift.
Well, it's-
Santa will get a bit of a surprise.
Some people are a little tied up, but
The sock is used for something that we.
and we have the new Harry Potter, not the Harry Potter, new book by Harry Potter author, by the Harry Potter.
How is that?
I haven't read it myself. I read the first 10 pages, and
I mean, we can trust the Bill has.
a character
Yeah,
passes
it's okay.
away.
I mean, it's a social commentary book, very much about her growing up. You know, it's an
Yeah.
allegory. She grew up poor, became rich. This person doesn't get rich, but it's okay. But it's not.
So
It's
she would
not as
not be
good.
a spectacularly famous author. if
It's
it
not
had been-
magical.
No,
Yeah.
no, not with this book.
Okay. All right.
Yeoman, but not good. Great.
I think she's she's such an interesting character because, you know, I mean, for all the people who denigrate welfare, if it hadn't been for welfare, she wouldn't have had the time to write.
That becomes apparent in this book.
Does it?
She kind of puts the thumb in the eye of those people, let me tell you. She's very outspoken about the need to support people who need help.
One of the sadder things I think we've done with welfare programs here in the United States is have these sort of phony work requirements, as if we're giving people job training for jobs that aren't really there, but what we really do is just hassle them and make them go long distances to sit there and do very little.
They have no one to take care of their kids.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a brilliant move, yes, one of those. We've done a lot of strange social policies over the last few decades.
There's some,
But
there's
speaking
some
of
other
Dickens,
fun books.
yeah. Well, Dickens isn't much fun either.
Well, that's true.
No.
A little Mal Dad.
But there's some fun books. The new Janet Ivanovich book.
What is she up to, 99?
19th of the series.
Oh, 19th, wow.
That doesn't count some of the other ones that she's written, Plum Spooky and various
Plum
other.
crazy, plum bad, plum awful.
Yes.
Yeah.
But,
Plum, the
Yeah.
first three were mildly amusing and, well, never mind.
yeah, the rest of them are kind of the same thing over and over again, but
Yeah.
it's good. You know, you don't have to think a lot when you read them. And obviously, America likes not having to think, and they certainly qualify.
There was a writer, a columnist called Sidney Harris many years ago, and he said what people like really is not new ideas. They want old ideas comfortably repackaged.
Yeah.
And I thought he was probably right.
100% right.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are looking to escape reality. They like getting back to childhood, whether it's with baseball cards or football programs or various other weird, not weird things, but
Some people
comfortable
have better
things.
childhoods than others.
There you go. Well, we have
What's the part
people.
about pulling the legs off broad? It's not in this book.
Somehow they left that
No.
out. But,
Where's Mr. Science when you need him?
Mr. Wizard, of course. You know,
But-
Ray, have you seen Louise or read Louise Erdrich's new book?
No, I haven't. I
The
haven't.
Roundhouse?
We have to
It
do
won the
that.
National Book Award.
Oh,
yeah.
Pretty astounding book. And it's an old theme. It's revenge, rape and revenge.
Well, Jim
Also
Harrison
good-
did well with that theme too,
Did.
didn't he?
good for
Yeah.
holiday season too. Huh?
Yeah, that's perfect for these are not maybe the most cheery holiday books we're recommending.
Another one I've read that's probably not a cheery holiday book, but it is the new Catch-22 is Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Law. It's by Ben Fountain. It's about several soldiers who come back from the Iraq War to appear at a halftime show to cheer up the fans. You know, they survived a bitter firefight and they're the America's heroes. And it takes place in about 5 hours. It's amazingly well done book. I thought that would win the National Book Award.
Really?
I did. I really thought it would.
Had Erdrich won before?
No. She's
She
been
was
nominated.
due, wasn't she?
Yep, she's been nominated at least twice. This is a big deal for her.
Oh, I'll bet.
She may have been the sympathetic winner too, but her book is great. I mean, there's no question. It's great.
Blood Medicine, was that the...
No.
Uh-oh.
Love Medicine.
Love Medicine.
Yeah, Blood, not Love.
Uh-huh.
Love Medicine.
Uh-huh.
That should have won the National
It should have,
Award. It was
yeah.
a finalist.
Yeah. Oh, it was. Okay.
And there's other mysteries that are out too, other than Ivanovich. There's a new Michael Conway out, The Black Box, which I just reviewed last week.
Who is the protagonist in this one?
Anonymous Bosch,
Oh, again.
Harry,
All
right.
Tom
Harry
Cruise is
Bosch,
back.
Los Angeles police detective, except he goes back to a case that he was involved with 20 years earlier, right behind the LA riots by
Ooh.
McKean.
Oh.
And tries to figure out why a Danish photojournalist was murdered.
It's a good bit.
Is
Very-
it?
Oh yeah, it's very good. And as you mentioned in your article, it's incredible police pursuit.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah.
got it down. I saw Connolly up in Traverse City last week.
You did, right, yeah.
He is a very quiet man.
Is he?
Very, very thoughtful. He was interviewed by a Michigan author named Brian Bruley, who's a mystery writer, not quite as famous as Michael Connolly.
Hardly anyone is.
No, really. Michael Connolly's one of the biggest, if not
Yeah.
Yeah.
right up there in the top 5.
It'll probably be in the number one bestseller in the country next week.
But he did a great job. He's personable. He's just a quiet person.
Aloof or just quiet?
Just quiet. He's
Wow.
not aloof at all. He hung around with people. I mean, there was a reception and he didn't leave.
Former newspaper reporter?
Former newspaper reporter, now living back in Tampa again.
Okay.
He lives in Tampa. He moved back to Tampa.
Interesting.
He's got a...
He'd been what, San Francisco, right?
No, L.A.
LA.
He lived in L.A. He's got, in this book and in several others, he's raising a daughter now. I suppose the mother was killed. And he has a 14-year-old daughter. So
Oh.
those parts of it are very realistic.
Mm.
And he knows what 14-year-old girls are like.
Mm.
So he's interjected that into the book, and I think some ways it's humanized him a little bit, because he's a dark character.
Oh,
I mean,
from the beginning, when he was
Very Bosch.
serving in
Yeah, he
Vietnam,
was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was
Trunk
a,
music was
he was
the
a
most
tunnel
famous
rat.
in it, yeah.
I mean, he did bad things, and he knew it, and he's still doing bad things.
True.
And he sort of
Under the cover of blue.
circumvents the law a little bit here and there. You wouldn't want him on your case.
Yeah.
You would, that's why it always made perfect sense to have our friend Clint Eastwood play him in various movies.
Well, there's a new movie coming out starring Tom Cruise. It's a Jack Reacher. And
Yes.
they talk about a reach.
Well, he's probably got to reach in order to be able to reach the script.
Yeah,
He's
we've
too
got a
tiny
character
for
who's
Jack
5'10"
Reacher.
and put 6'5". It makes a big difference.
5'10", I think is optimistic.
Oh, he's about 5'6". I think,
Yeah.
yeah, he's short.
I thought he
Yeah.
was 5'4", but that's...
Well, chemists can do wonderful things. But one of the books I reviewed last week was kind of Jack Reacher's kind of his rules, and he is a loner, if you're familiar with the Leach Niles novels, who travels around the country, getting more trouble than anybody in the right mind would. sometimes just by sitting down at a cafe buying a cup of coffee, he gets involved in various.
He
bad
has
topics.
that sort of, he's again one of those cases where you read one or two books and everything else is just simply the rubber stamp of the same plots.
No, not actually. They're enjoyable at least. So if you like, if you like violent action, some of us do.
He's that sort of mythic hero that, in
he's
some of our
an anti-hero.
unfeminist
Knight errant.
fantasies.
He's the knight errant.
Yes,
Yeah.
women want him to protect them.
Goes around.
He always has all this arcane knowledge from his years in intelligence and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
on.
Military policeman.
Yeah.
He can kill you with a matchstick.
Right, yeah. Not just lighting the bomb, but
There's several kind of interesting books this year too, like Coney Detroit. That's really popular, and it's by an MSU professor,
Joe Grimm, my
and,
colleague.
and,
I'm glad you reminded me of that because I've still got his video to do.
And then there's Detroit Historic Places of Worship, which is a Kickstarter book. They raised $40,000 on Kickstarter to do this book, I think.
Wow.
And without it, it wouldn't have ever been done. They've been working on it for like 20 years, and 2 people have died in between. So I mean, it's kind of a.
Is that another Wayne State Press?
Yes, it is. It's very well
And
done.
Wayne State did the book on the train station,
Yep.
train depots.
I bought one of
Yes.
those copies for my husband.
Oh, it's a great book.
It is.
It really is nicely done. We're going to bring that guy here.
Oh,
Michael
good.
Hodges is the author, and he's a great
And
book.
it's got great photographs.
It does. It does.
The one that's still playing out strong is The Magic Room by Jeffrey Zaslow.
It
Because
is.
it's in paperback now, so it's selling a lot of books.
And that was a real sad situation.
He was the person who lost control of his car on an icy road here in Michigan when he was doing. I mean, he had made so much money on his previous books, but he would still drive all over the state to do book
Very,
signings.
very nice person.
Yeah.
he
You
didn't-
had talked with him
Yeah,
many
I
times.
knew him quite well.
Coming back from a signing.
Yeah.
Up at Petoskey, he got killed in an accident. He was the co-author of the last lecture,
Yes,
and that's what really made his name.
and it made his fortune as well.
It did make his fortune.
That's the professor who, in fact, there's a YouTube of him giving that last lecture. He knew he was dying, and he talked to his students and talked to the world about what that meant. It was very uplifting in an odd kind of way.
It certainly was, because he was so honest about
Yeah.
it. And Zaslow was up there. It was one of those things that he told me that he didn't want to go because he had to drive like 5 hours. They didn't have any money. And this is the Wall Street Journal. He wrote an original article for the Wall Street Journal. They didn't have any money to pay airfare, so he had to drive like 5 hours. And he said he almost didn't go, but he says, what success is about is showing up.
Yeah.
If he wouldn't have gone, he wouldn't have been who he was.
Yeah.
He just showed up. I heard him tell a group of students that, and I hope they caught on.
I know.
But he got killed in an auto accident because he wanted to come home to be with his family.
Yeah, he did show
So on
up.
the other end of it,
Mhm.
it was his death.
This is LCC Radio, WLNZ 89.7 here in Lansing, Michigan. We're talking books with Bill Castanier of MittenLit.com, who blogs daily about books.
Sometimes.
And Ray Walsh of the Curious Bookstore. Do you have any other events coming up before the holidays? Book sales?
Trying to stay in business like everybody else.
Yeah,
It's
is
not
it
an-
still
it's not an
exciting?
event, yeah.
Ray, I've got a quick question for you. Have you noticed any spillover from the Broad Arkansas?
Actually, yes, more on the weekends, and
That's what we were just talking about.
particularly on Sundays, which is good. And a lot of new faces in town that haven't been here before. So it's one of the things that we hope will we help revitalize East Lansing. And one of the things I'm thinking of doing is paying all of my employees to go through the Grove.
That's a really good idea.
Just so that they can be familiar with and talk about it. Because if they may not go on their own, but for me it's worthwhile to have employees that are knowledgeable. You can say, yeah, you should see the exhibit. And that way they interact, and so that's one of the things I'm going to bring up next week about doing. And it'd be interesting if some of the other businesses in East Lansing did it.
That's a nice touch, too.
Plus, you sell art books.
Oh yeah, and we're planning
Yeah.
on expanding our art section too. We had an odd situation with the road last week, when they opened. We got a call from them, one of the people there, asking for a donation. And here's a $48 million art museum, and they're asking for a donation. And we said, could you repeat that, please? They said, well, we'd really like to get some National Geographic magazines. And I
What?
said, that we can do.
Oh, I've
Can you
got
pr- can-
cases.
Can
Oh,
you provide?
that kind of
We need
donation.
50 magazines for a children's project, so they can cut them up and it makes things with it. And I said, great, how soon do you need them? And I sent 2 people over the next day and they picked them
Wow.
up. That kind of donation I can do.
Right, right.
So it's a little different, but I was really dumbfounded when they asked,
This is
for
the
a
first time
donation.
anyone had asked for National Geographics in 20 years.
Well, we actually have a bunch of them, you know, and they sell them very cheaply, and a lot of teachers buy them for students. And
That's,
a lot of foreign students buy them and say, oh, look, that's where I'm from, type of thing, too.
oh.
So that was that.
Well,
was
they were the
fun thing.
Playboy of the elementary school that I went to because they always had the bare-breasted
Ah.
women from various countries.
That's like the internet of today, you know, but oh well.
Oh, wow.
You know, National Geographic this week in New York City is selling 150 classic images from their library.
No.
Mm,
Big money.
I'll bet.
Big money, because they go back a long time, and they had some preeminent photographers on there.
Well,
Not on the staff.
we
but
have a
they-
lot of interest in photos. One of the things that we have over at our other shop, at the Archives Bookshop, we have lots of real photo postcards of Michigan. We have 45,000 postcards altogether. But we also have a lot of tintypes and daguerreotypes and some pretty interesting photos of people from the 1890s. A lot of whom we don't know who they are. We had one person who bought a photograph at Archives and brought it down to me to verify that it was Billy the Kid. Except it wasn't, and I knew it wasn't.
Oh,
I
that's
said, you know, you're taking it from one shop to the other because I own both shops.
There's only
Oh.
one known, isn't there, a photograph
Yes.
of Billy
Yeah.
the Kid?
And
that
he
can
was sure that
verify.
it was, and it wasn't.
Oh.
He can tell you that.
Before we leave the Geographic, they have a new book, and it's called 1 Cubic Foot, and it's by a photographer named, I mangled the name, but I think it's David Litwisher. And what he did was he went out and he had this green tube-like frame that he had that is exactly 1 cubic foot. And he would do 1 cubic foot in the ocean, and then he would catalog at any given moment all the life that was in that 1 cubic foot. And he would do it in the rainforest, all over the world. And what happened after the book came out, and he had published a lot of these very positive, it was wonderful to look at all the flora and fauna, and maybe 1 foot of soil from some place in South America. They did 1 cubic foot of farmland in Iowa and found almost it's sterile.
Sterile.
It's in addition to the chemicals that we're pouring on it, there's only corn for them to eat. So that's all that's left because everything else has been obliterated in that kind of monoculture. It was really kind of scary. Robert Krulwich did something on it on NPR. I don't know if they're showing it.
Sounds like a science fiction
Kind of creepy.
gone wrong. Right.
Kind of creepy, but the Geographic does beautiful work. A former friend of mine was late friend of mine was an illustrations editor there and did the book Odyssey with the Corcoran Gallery, where they treated the photographs as art. And it was hard for the Geographic to get their heads around. Some of the people there really resisted the idea. They thought of themselves as photojournalists and not as artists. But their work is artistic. There's just no doubt
Well,
about it.
going back to Edward Weston, I mean, not Weston, Curtis,
Yeah.
Oh,
who
yeah.
did the
American
original
Indians,
Indian,
yeah.
Yeah.
they're auctioning off a number of those, and they'll go for,
Oh.
or they go for, the entire collection of 25 book goes for $1.5 million.
Oh, wow.
So they're, an individual print could go for 8,000, but at the time he was taking them, they weren't art.
Yeah.
They were his passion. There's a good book. That's one of the good books this year, is The Shadow Catcher, about his life, which is a miserable life.
Oh, was it?
Oh, it was terrible, because his only thing he wanted to do was shoot photographs. He had a family. He didn't make any money off it.
Well, that's for sure.
It was just a miserable, he had a very miserable life, but he was always happy when he
But
was
have a
out.
happy holiday season ending. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, you keep
Some really good books there.
cheery ideas
Yeah.
about, but nice coffee table books
Yeah.
of pretty art and pretty photography. That's the one thing that your Kindle is not going to be able to do.
That's true, although, coffee table books are not exactly nearly as popular as they used to be.
Oh,
People are-
really?
Well, they're using the money instead they spend on coffee table books on either buying coffee or tables.
Ooh.
So it's a little bit strange, but sometimes the oversized, pretty deluxe books that used to be given as gifts, right? If you look carefully at the new books being offered, there's significantly fewer books of that type being
Yeah,
offered.
I did see that.
So I can say it's a national trend, but it's a bit of a reality. People don't like necessarily huge books to carry around.
I just wish I had never slit the Mylar cover on my Madonna book sets.
Yeah.
I guess it's worth quite a bit these days.
If
I
it
hadn't-
seals,
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
I know.
But without the CD, it isn't worth very much at all.
Is that right? Well, so you're going to be having holiday fair at Curious Books?
Well, yeah, we're actually right now we're doing 20% off on hardback books the entire month.
Great.
So, and
That's a wonderful place in East Lansing, and thank you
that's
to...
basically on used books.
And thank you to Rob Kleider for coming and gracing us with your music a week from Thursday at Mort's. And thank you for listening to Lansing Online News Radio on WLNZ 89.7 here in Lansing, Michigan. Come back next Monday night. Strange is that I'm hearing different music.
Yeah, no, it's just me.
I,
No, it's okay. It's stuck
It
around.
was good music. I was listening out there.
Oh,
Good stuff.
do you have any pictures